So, Phil McConnell had a hearing today, Alex. Before we talk about that, let's catch everybody up on what Phil McConnell is charged with. He's charged with third-degree felony stalking, making threats towards Kim Bocasio, a lawyer in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Phil McConnell hails from Plum City, Wisconsin, and he was extradited in 2019 to Broward County, Florida. He served time in jail and was released on house arrest and was staying with his son. And then his wife, Denise, passed away, and he was allowed to go back to Plum City and serve his house arrest pending trial there in his hometown of Plum City, Wisconsin. And he had a hearing today, Alex. So, Alex, tell us what happened at this hearing.
Well, nothing really. His attorney said that he wanted to reschedule the status conference, and that he wanted to speak with the state attorney's office, presumably to negotiate a plea deal. He did not ask for calendar call. So if he were ready to go to trial, he would have asked today, come on, judge, we're ready, let's go. But he did not. He wanted an additional 30 days to reschedule status conference and speak to the state attorney's office to try to negotiate a plea deal.
You think that means that he wants to negotiate a plea deal?
Yes. Otherwise, his attorney would have asked for a trial. Because
Wow.
they're doing trials now. The case right before Fields, the judge scheduled a trial for October. And so if Howard were ready to go, he would have said, we're ready, let's schedule trial. But he did not. He asked for a continuance of the status conference and said that he was going to be speaking with the state attorney. So
I think the $1,000 question here is, Alex, would Phil McConnell want a plea deal?
Well, it doesn't matter if Field wants one or not. There's one person with whose blessing can ultimately authorize a plea deal, and that's Kim. There's Marsy's Law in Florida, and if he wants one or not, it's up to Kim to say yes. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, at this point, watching some of the people who continue to harass her on Field's behalf, I think that they would be a little bit nicer to Kim. So she would say, yes, I'm okay with the plea. My opinion.
I mean, we're going to show some video of Phil McConnell making these threats, death threats to Kim Bocasio live on his YouTube channel. This idiot was dumb enough to broadcast his criminal activity live on the internet for everyone to see and for it to be documented and be used against him. So nobody thinking logically can argue that Phil McConnell is innocent of this because he committed his crimes live on the internet.
Right.
So anybody that is going to say that he's innocent of these, that he's being railroaded, that these charges are bogus, you're just flat out delusional. They're documented. And we're going to play some of that. So the state has an airtight, solid case.
Yes.
Based on the evidence. But what I just said is thinking logically, and we know that Phil McConnell is not a logical thinker. We know that he is a conspiracy theorist. He thinks 9/11 was an inside job. He was saying that Jeffrey Epstein was alive, not really dead, but is alive and a protected witness. This is a man who claimed that he spoke to Donald Trump and had communication and worked for Donald Trump. Who knows if he really believed that or not? Maybe he's so delusional that he really believes that he worked for the ex-president of the United States. I could go on to show how batshit crazy this old geyser is. So he's not a logical person. And if he does not want a plea deal, there's not going to be one because his lawyer acts on his behalf. The lawyer can say, accepting a plea deal would be in your best interest. But that's using logic, that's using reason, and I don't really think that that penetrates through Phil McConnell's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs brain.
Right. However, if he were not interested in a plea, he would have told Howard, let's move forward and schedule the trial today. That didn't happen. And I do know that he has negotiated or attempted to negotiate a plea before.
He did?
Yes, he did. It was declined. So, all of these people who keep screaming
Phil
about
McConnell was the party that attempted to negotiate the plea deal. They're the one that initiated the conversations about the plea deal. It was Phil McConnell and his lawyer.
Yeah, that's his attorney's job. No attorney wants to go to trial, and especially on this case. All of the people that follow Field, for them it's normal to sit around and talk about SA and all of the horrible things that they talk about. It's normal for them to sit around and to threaten people's lives, to threaten their children, to threaten them with gitmo or execution. Normal people do not do that. And when Field is on trial, once those videos are shown, that is not going to go over well in front of reasonable people. They're not going to be okay with the things that Field said. And I do not think that Field will go on the stand. That would be he would be a dumbass if he did.
Well, I've been wrong before, but I'm usually right. And I predicted that Phil McConnell actually wants to testify on his behalf. That's what I think.
He will die in jail. There is no jury that's going to listen to him and be okay if he opens his mouth and starts spewing some of the garbage that has come out of his mouth as a result of befriending the other psycho. The other thing that they all believe is that somehow Kim is going to be on trial. That absolutely is not the case. Field is going to be on trial. And there's been no discovery. There's been no deposition of Kim. There's been no interrogatories.
I know that Randy Erickson and Timothy Holmseth have floated this BS conspiracy theory that Phil McConnell is testifying. He's not testifying.
No.
There's no behind the scenes testimony. Kim Bocasio is not being investigated. She's never going to go on trial. The only people that are being investigated and going on trial is Phil McConnell and Timothy Holmseth.
Yes, and like I've said it before, but how come the only ones going to jail and getting arrested are these buttheads? When how many years have they said we're all going to be executed and go to Gitmo and going to jail and getting lawsuits? I mean, Randy and Timmy are racking up criminal charges as we speak. They're the only ones,
That's a good point. Do you think, Alex, that what could possibly be holding up a plea deal is maybe Howard Son, Phil McConnell's attorney, is trying to convince him to do a plea deal? Maybe that's the holdup, that Phil McConnell is not yet sold on it. Because I'm telling you, I think Phil McConnell wants to go to trial, and I think he wants to testify. because I think that he's so narcissistic and so delusional and so crazy that he thinks that he can actually persuade a jury to see things through his crazy lens. And that's not going to happen.
No,
And
it's not.